Looks like Blevins is a figment of my imagination.
Yeah,
whole
just
time.
feel like
It's actually, I've just been talking to myself. Ever since Legends of Runeterra, when it was like COVID and I was trying to like cast Legends of Runeterra, I created this imaginary friend co-caster, and that's what's been happening this entire time. And Blevins is not real.
or it's Disney movie. It's like Cass was traumatized by COVID and created this imaginary friend called Blevins.
You know what I've been thinking about lately?
What's that?
Well, besides the inevitable dread around us, I've been thinking that I really need Airbud to come back, but for esports and card games and all of these other things that are now more mainstream.
But what is the dog pun that would be the Airbud esports movie?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
it's a good question.
That's what we'll have to find out. Leave it in the comments of this episode of Blevins.
The winning point. We're here.
Come on, there we go.
I'm trying to go as long as possible because I know that Cass will crack every time.
This imaginary friend is doing terrible at picking up where I'm like leaving the breadcrumbs there.
I'm taking a note from Charmer and just doing it all on purpose. Making it think like I'm messing it up. But we are here on the winning point. Sorry about it. We've got a couple of cool things to talk about this week. But before we do that, we want you to like, comment, and subscribe to the Turn 'Em Sideways YouTube channel because that's awesome. A lot of you did that over the past weekend when Cass and company did the live English rebroadcast of the Guangzhou Regional, which we'll be talking about here. So welcome new friends, and make sure you ask in the comment section what Treasure Trove does so that Casanova can personally respond to all of those comments forever. And so do that. We're going to be doing another live English rebroadcast of another regional this weekend, or I guess if you're listening to this, no, it will probably still be true when you hear this. It just won't be the one that we're going to be talking about. Yeah. It will probably still be true, but we're also going to be doing a lot of other cool stuff as well. So make sure you are commenting, and subscribing. But before we jump in to everything, friends, how have you been? Charmer, how's your week been?
Slow. And it's mostly just because I feel like right now, more than ever in my life, I am racing to the weekends because of something that I'm excited about in card game world, right? So whether it's, Flesh and Blood events, Star Wars Unlimited events, or, in the case of now, Riftbound events, right? More Chinese events coming. I just find that my days are usually like, don't get me wrong, I'm still paying attention at work. I'm still a good citizen, but I'm just thinking about, what is coming in the weekend in the world of card games and how excited I am for it. So this week has felt very, very slow.
I am busy and unprepared for the show as always, so I'm excited to blind react to whatever we have going on here. I am little personal co-streamer that exists in the podcast.
Like I had that very long but fulfilling weekend of co-streaming the tournament. That was really nice. And then we went on like a little mini vacation down to southern Utah to go look at rocks, really pretty rocks. And then now I'm back.
Love it.
For more big Riftbound tournaments, and I think Blevins and I will probably figure out a way to spread it out so that it's not as taxing, but I'm probably still gonna just watch the whole thing anyway. So we'll see what we do. We'll find out.
Get on the grind set.
We're gonna try to do something awesome. So make sure you are tuning in and that you're subscribed to the Turn 'Em Sideways YouTube channel. But let's jump into it. Earlier today, as of this recording, we got an official confirmation that English Arcane sets are going to be going on sale on the Riot store on September 2nd. So if you're listening to this, you probably already be too late.
You probably missed it.
Yeah. So I can't believe
I'm sure they'll still be available.
I can't believe how
they're
great
sell out.
that sale went. Yeah, no, they're definitely going to sell out. So I definitely should have copy pasted the actual price. I believe they're going to be, it's like $80.
$69.99. I thought
$69.99.
the article said. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. $70 for the 6-card collector set. It is alt arts for Vi, Heimerdinger, Caitlyn, Warwick, Viktor, and Jinx.
Yeah.
From Arcane? From Arcane, yes. Jinx from Arcane. So a lot of the characters that you would expect from Arcane that are in Riftbound. So, Cass, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on the Arcane set in general coming to English release? What are you thinking?
You mean this Arcane set? I think it's pretty cool. I have the Chinese version from Macau. I was fortunate enough that one of my caster friends for TFT, since I didn't work that event, was able to grab me one. But I'll still probably try and get the English one just because I like it. I like these collector things. I think I like Arcane, so I think it's just kind of a cool piece. Do I think its cost is kind of high? A little bit, actually. Yeah, I think $70 for 6 cards is quite a bit. But it does come in that like display case, which is nice. It is absolutely a collector item, and it has a collector price tag. So I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it's neat. I think it is absolutely going to get bombed and resold. And that is my big fear for it. It's not even a fear. It's like, that's just reality. That's what's going to happen with these. And I think that I hope that we can get products like these in the future in ways that are really easy for anyone who wants to get them to be able to get them and have them. But I know that this is a card game and collector's items are pretty normal. And so we'll probably see a lot of stuff like this. And, you know, don't give into the FOMO unless you really want this thing, I guess.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm up to. I mean, I like collector stuff. Arcane's really cool. I personally have 0% interest in this. I'm just more excited for the game itself to come out. I'll happily play some or all of these cards when they're printed in their original printings. Like, don't get me wrong, I think collector stuff is cool, and I'm glad they make stuff like this. To Cass's point, I hope this means there's more on the horizon, because I think diversifying product offerings is always nice, especially as the like alt art and promo treatments kind of level up, and we've already seen what like the alt arts in the actual set look like. So this being a space that exists is cool. But given that like these are the only like 6 Riftbound cards I can legally play if in English right now, if I bought them, I think I'd rather wait for them to come out later in English origins. So I will be skipping this one. Don't panic, people.
I'm gonna do my best to pick up a set.
Love that for you.
Oh no, he's panicking.
So here's the thing. I would have already bought the Macau set already if they had not announced that your deck has to be all one language, because I definitely would have picked that up. I'm still on the fence and kind of want to pick one up and just get that set graded for like collector's purposes. But ideally, I would like to get 3 sets of these. I would like a play set. I want to try to max rarity my decks for this game. I think that's just where I'm at, because the cards are gorgeous. Seeing them at Gen Con kind of ruined my wallet, because they just looked better than I thought they were going to. And I think I'm going to try to pick these up. Now, I did notice in our show notes, right, if we want to mention this, because I think it's a good transition to something that I want to talk about. You know, somebody did reach out to us about the price, right? Specifically, Uncanny Girl, right? Said, I have to ask Turnham Sideways team, since there are some MTG peeps in the crew. How do you all feel about Riot starting off the most expensive direct-to-player per card for their bundles? MTG layers average $8 per card with bonus, and Bandai's kits hover around $5 per card. Now, I wanted to use this as the transition to a talking point, which is that Riftbound, believe it or not, is not the most expensive in this arena. Star Wars Unlimited, for 2 years running now, has had convention exclusives, right? These are $100, and there are 6 cards in here. Now, again, just like with Riftbound, they are alternate art versions of cards. The pack that I was just holding up, if you're listening in the audio, I held up the box from this year. This one was 6 droid cards, and they have a very droid-specific alternate art treatment. Last year's was all Sith-oriented, and they had a very specific alternate art treatment that was very dark with like red lighting. But ultimately, the base playable versions of these cards are very easy to get a hold of. This is strictly for people who either want to be collectors or they're like me and they like the ooh shiny and they want to play with something really cool looking in their deck. So with that in mind, I don't necessarily have a problem with the price for these because at the end of the day, you don't need these if you don't want them, right? It would be nice if everything that we ever wanted in life was cheap and accessible. Don't get me wrong. Like, I would love to pay less for the things that I want in life, but at the end of the day, like, we're just kind of beholden to whatever they set the price tag for. And if there are going to be ample ways to get a hold of other stuff, then I think it'll be fine. Now, I want to throw an asterisk on this. If you're watching this in the future, right? Let's say it's early November and all of the base product has sold out because of allocations. I want you to know that I'm talking about future state when base product is plentiful. I am not talking about whatever calamity will inevitably happen at a TCG launch. But ultimately, I just think that stuff like this isn't like that huge of a problem. And I'm very clearly their target audience.
I love that we go from don't panic from pastry to everybody panic. The's going to be calamity for Charmer. It's really good. Yeah, very, very good.
Someone's poisoning the water hole. It's a calamity.
I will say, I think you're right. Like, the thing about Chinese language is interesting. And I know that was announced quite early, which was good. But I do think if you could play mixed languages, that we'd be having a very different conversation, not just about this, but particularly about Chinese booster boxes, which I know we talked about a little bit, I think, last week, that people have been opening. And I had the same stance where I'm like, I'm just going to wait for the game to be in English because I actually can't play these cards. I would feel the complete opposite if you were illegally allowed to play Chinese cards in any tournament. And I think the price of those would be absurdly high. So yes, I'm glad that didn't happen.
Yeah, I also am quite glad because I've been like, I kind of wanted one just for fun. And then I'm like, it's just taking away from having real, like, you know, quote unquote, real product that I can actually use. So I have it. But if you could use it, boy, whew, yeah, no, I don't even want to think about that possibility. I got to say, I agree almost entirely with what you're saying, Charmer. I am a...
Wait, Blevins agrees? I changed my mind.
I've been a Secret Lair fan for a long time. I've pretty much been in favor of all the Secret Lairs just because I like the alt arts, and I also don't mind the Marvel cards and stuff, but that's because they're basically designed for me. Like, I want the silly stuff. I love the Deadpool Secret Lair. That was amazing. I don't see a lot of ground to stand on in terms of being upset by a collector item having a high price when it's non-unique pieces. Like, I can see why people hated the Walking Dead cards. I can see why people hate the Marvel cards or any of the unique game pieces that you can only acquire by buying this direct to consumer product that skips the stores entirely. This Riftbound has already established that they are very much working with stores, working with local game stores to have organized play be a big thing, have the local game store ecosystem be very important. And this is something that does technically go outside of that, but it is a one-off collector item. I would love it if, you know, stores were able to get an allocation of these. I think that would be cool. I doubt that that's going to happen, but
get this in the camera. I have two other like quick points about this. First, I'm with you. The first thing I noticed was there was no information about whether stores were getting this or even just if they would be at other events, right? So the same way that the Chinese language one was available at Macau, my initial thought, you know, again, using Star Wars as an example, you could get this at their version of their World Championships. It was the Galactic Championship. You could also get them at Gen Con or other major conventions. And I know Riftbound, you know, they were just at Gen Con, but they're going to be at other conventions later this year. And so my mind was like, okay, well, where else can I get this if it's not just online? So one, I'd like to see it just more broadly available. But the other bit is, for me anyway, the collector's aspect is it's also difficult for me to like just like not be on board because of the unique game pieces, because I want to put it this way. I'm more upset about the fact that we don't get full play sets of stuff from Proving Grounds than I am that this product exists and that it's expensive.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I know that the person who reached out to us was talking about like the Bandai exclusives, for example. Like, it drives me nuts that Bandai will put exclusive cards in like starter decks, and then you have to buy 2 of the starter decks. It's like the antithesis of a new player experience to me. So I care more about things like that, where it's, you know, base game pieces and or onboarding and player retention. I don't think that this targets that group. So if it costs a little bit more or whatever, then I'm okay with it. Sorry, it took me a while and I had a bit of a stroke there halfway through my thought process, but it's just because I was trying to think of the way to phrase this that didn't sound so angry.
Yeah. I think that it all boils down to a point that we made on, I think it was last episode. No, I guess if you're listening, this is 2 episodes ago now. If you're upset about how expensive these alt art and not uniquely playable cards are, then the shark is in the pool. Just don't get in the pool. You don't have to swim in that pool. It's okay. So yeah, another cool piece that we got from the article about the Arcane release asked, will there be future collectibles or Arcane cards? And this is from the website. We can't promise future Arcane collabs with Riftbound, but we're excited to celebrate other events in the League of Legends universe that are sure to delight Riftbounders and League players alike. Later this year, we'll be dropping something truly unique in the form of a limited edition Riftbound X Worlds bundle that is designed with Worlds fans in mind. This collectible will honor the legacy and excitement of the Worlds experience in a uniquely Riftbound way.
Well, I mean,
all right,
was not expecting it.
Makes sense. So Worlds is in China this year, right? For League of Legends?
Yes.
So this kind of makes a lot of sense. And I imagine that this is going to be able to be picked up at Worlds. This is speculation. We don't know, but this seems like very safe speculation that you could pick up the Riftbound Worlds bundle thing at the World Championship. And that seems like the main goal with that. I'm curious if they're also going to just do an online drop for it as well. I'm gonna guess that there will be an online drop to go along with it. But that was, the talk earlier of, will these kind of drops be available at other places? I'd have to imagine that the Worlds bundle will be online with a drop, and then also at the World Championship.
Yeah, if you think about merchandising for Worlds in general, typically things are selling there also sell online, especially when they have like exclusive items. Like they've done a bunch of collabs in the past. So I'm more curious, like how many units they have. I think that'll be an interesting one, because I think this will be quite popular. I also think, it's not a surprise that Worlds is kind of the tentpole event that Riot uses to like advertise anything realistically. Like most of the things that happen in and around the company tend to like try and advertise at Worlds if you can, because it's a huge way to push people to the things that the company is making, especially if they're related to League of Legends. It's easily almost visible. I say out, I kind of worked. Anyway, complications about my employment status aside, as someone that's worked on this event a lot, it's obviously the event where eyes are all on you. So wanting to push people to see stuff is really cool, especially when the game's already out in China. So they could, sell packs, sell boxes there too, potentially, which might be cool. I will say my thing I'm most happiest about, even though I'm sure whatever the release is going to be really cool, and I do want one, which is funny because I didn't really care about the Arcane one, but I have, I guess, more experience with Worlds than I do with Arcane. Is that what was I going to say? I'm just glad they're like doing something at all to coincide with the event. Like they're putting resources behind it, wanting to show people the game, and I think that's cool, right? That game will be out in English or close to be out by the time Worlds happens. And so the fact that there's some sort of marketing push, because Worlds is like September, October, November usually. Okay. Yeah, it used to be later in the year, and then it's been pushed up a little bit more recently.
Showing my age then.
But it's certainly around that time. So the fact that there's like any sort of concerted marketing push around the biggest League of Legends event of the year that's good news for me. It means that like the company believes in the game and wants it to succeed, and is giving it the biggest platform we kind of have to do it. Because this is also the time when like mainstream media comes in and is like, oh, what's the League of Legends World Championship? That's cool.
All right. So just to follow up, if you're listening, because I went and I looked it up, it should be October 14th through November 9th.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Okay, so
you can tell
the
there's
game-
not working worlds this year, by the way. We
Yeah.
know.
Ironically,
So-
I am. I don't know why. But
Ooh.
One of the
not.
interesting things that you mentioned, Pastry, is the existence of the online ordering that goes alongside with Worlds. This game is kind of unique for the Worlds experience because of the language requirements to play with the cards. So I have to assume that at least the English versions of whatever the collab are will be available online, because it'd be very weird if you had to go to China and buy the English only
English
ones.
cards,
Yeah.
Like
That would be weird.
so this gives me hope. I'm more interested. So if those are the dates and it's such a, a big multi-week gap there for Worlds, do you think these sell out on like day one of Worlds and then they're just
Depends how many
gone?
they have, but probably.
it really does depend. I mean, all the things depend on how much they have. I would just set the expectation for everyone that the first, I'm just going to arbitrarily say, year of products are going to be them testing the waters, maybe like pretty aggressively, like in terms of printing, but a lot of times the print runs and such are done in a conservative manner so that you don't end up losing a lot of money. I was trying to think of an elegant way to say that, but and that even goes into like, because if you don't know how the like local game store from developer to LGS like ecosystem works, there's basically a middleman called the distributor, and there's a whole sales process on both sides of that. So like, it's entirely possible that we will end up seeing these types of products eventually getting into stores. It's just that it's not as easy as Riot throwing Arcane promo packs to LGSs across the world. There's basically another level of distribution in between there that they also have to sell and like sell the game to. I talked about it on the last episode, just in talking with a lot of the local game stores around me. Not every single person is as huge of a Riot fan and fanatic as the people who are on the show and listen to the show. So it's like, I've had a lot of people be like, yeah, no, I'm happy to try out a new card game. But that is basically in so many words, like what they're saying is that this is another card game like the Gundam game or One Piece or Weiss Schwartz or whatever. Like it's not like the special thing that we obviously hold it to because of our background. Yeah, no, really excited about that. Really excited that Riot is doing the thing that everyone kind of, as not a part of Riot, would expect them to do. Like, oh, do a collab with this thing because you have that event and you're Riot and you can do anything. So make a Worlds collab. It's like, okay, they did. So I'm pretty excited. So yes, the last thing I want to talk about in terms of collectible or LGS stuff here is we got a look at the Nexus Night exclusive prizes. And there's a Teemo promo that is one of the dumbest but also greatest promos I've ever seen for anything.
Yeah, it's
Let's
a good
go,
promo.
Teemo.
It's the GG Easy promo, right? It's got
It's
Yeah.
the GG.
GG Easy in the back, which I think is like the perfect vibe for like these Nexus Night promos. I think that's really
Yes.
great. I mean, as much as I love like a gorgeous promo, I think go to your LGS and like win local. Getting a GG Easy promo is actually like really funny and I think good, and I think I like it a lot. Though they are going really hard with these Teemo promos. They had like another Teemo promo for there's the Teemo promo for going and learning to play at your LGS. I believe they've got these like stamped Teemo promos that you can get.
The first promo we saw was a Teemo promo too.
Yeah, they really like Teemo.
yeah.
I mean, you got Teemo in set 1. I guess you just use that and just print as many Teemo promos as you can. Why not?
Yeah, it may be a sign of things to come of like, hey, this is the tip of the iceberg in terms of promos and like store kits and other things. Like, yeah, there's this expensive Arcane thing, but there might be multiple other types and variations of promos. So it may just become like, oh, this stuff is just everywhere.
In League, you get Lux skins. In Riftbound, you get Teemo promos. That's what we get.
It's funny too because Teemo is like quite complicated as a deck, so interesting thing to like encourage people to play. But I imagine very popular as a character. I wonder how popular Teemo was in China. Actually, I don't know if that has anything to do.
He
with
was
it.
pretty popular at the tournament itself, actually, as a E counter specifically in Guangzhou. But yeah, that was
that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in a moment. But anyone else have a Nexus Night?
Well, I just want to also
glad
point
Nexus
out
Nights exists. That's my contribution to Nexus Nights.
Go ahead, Blev.
Nice.
Also quite glad. In addition to the Teemo promo, there are also unique. Well, I'm assuming that they're unique rune promos as well. I believe you actually get a sealed pack for winning Nexus Night, and the Teemo promo and one of the runes, or maybe it was two of the runes. I don't remember when I originally saw it. You get like a couple of runes and the Teemo promo when you win Nexus Nights, which is really cool. Yeah, again, like Flesh and Blood did a really good job of this with their different levels of store events, like encouraging people to not just come for like a casual event at the store, but also like weekly events. And then, we also have these mid-tier, not actually like hyper competitive events, but give out cool promos that people at least where I was playing were quite excited about. And then of course have your road to nationals and all the other stuff as well. That's like competitive level, but really good to have these sort of competitive spirit, but not competitive rules enforcement, if that makes sense, like types of events to get people in and actually playing the game.
Yeah, I can verify it is 3-card packs. Again, I know I made the Star Wars reference earlier with the promos, very similar to what they do for their weekly play as well. You get a pack that has exactly 3 cards in it. For those, it's all alternate art promos. That game doesn't have like a resource system, so there's not going to be like the equivalent to the runes, but I still like that the runes are a part of this because I expect the max rarity, full art, full foil ones to be rather expensive. But if you're somebody who wants a middle ground where you just don't want base runes, but you want something else, then these are a nice option and they look nice. I'm actually curious whether or not the promos for Nexus Nights will have both foil and non-foil versions, right? Because all of the Star Wars Unlimited promos, they work that way, right? So they have the alternate art versions in non-foil and in foil. And I personally like that, even though I like everything being foil. I have friends, for example, that if they don't have to play a foil card, they don't want to. They just don't want to deal with any of the curling or pringling or anything. So they like the non-foil versions. But I'm curious whether or not the same will be for, the Riftbound Nexus Night stuff.
I am quite glad that they're doing alternate art stuff and not what Magic currently does with their promo packs, which is exact same art as the base set with like little Planeswalker stamp in the on the card, which is like, it's whatever, it's a free card, that's fine, but like I want alt arts. Like bring me back to the old days of F&M promos where like they were actually something sought after. Like this feels like that to me, where it's like, you're playing again, casual level event, but there's stakes to it, and that like I want to win the promos, which is cool, but not
I want my GG Easy playset.
I definitely do.
If I'm gonna play Teemo, if I'm playing that card, I want it to be the GG Easy version. So when you flip it up from hidden, it says GG Easy when you blow them out. There you go.
It's even better. You can have it in your your champion zone.
Yeah,
so
true. Just sitting there
immediately.
Yeah,
just
never
turn
play
it around,
just
flip
for
it towards them.
Yeah.
I like the psychological aspect of starting with the GG Easy just there, staring at your opponent.
Let's move on and talk about Guangzhou Regionals. We saw the first regional event in Guangzhou in China. 500, I believe the total ended up being 506 players, though it was capped at 512. I'm guessing 6 people just didn't show up or dropped for one reason or another. I went in depth on a lot of the stats and nitty gritty of it on Battlefield Breakdown, which you can check out on this very channel. But Cass, you were there for the entirety of the whole
They were there.
So I want to get your initial sort of overview of the event.
So you'll know from our last week's episode where we kind of had our initial predictions. We were pretty close to right as far as just Kai'Sa and Yi representation. We had it flipped. It was actually 4 Kai'Sa instead of 4 Yi. I should have gone with my gut, knowing that Kai'Sa is a better deck, but I instead went with the knowledge that there would be a ton more Yis, which was also correct. Yi was by far the most represented deck. Just Kai'Sa being a better deck ends up prevailing, and we get more copies in the top 8. And then Kai'Sa ends up winning the whole thing. We ended up having an American in the top 8 with George or Goofy, who had flown out there with hopes of getting in. He had not been in through the lottery, and he did get kind of that like waitlist lottery slot once arriving. And then my friend Huge or Eugene was also able to make the top 64, playing Master Yi. He was an old coach of my Heroes team back when I played Professional Heroes. So he lives in China now and he's playing. And so it's cool to like have the whole co-stream cheering on those 2 players throughout the entire weekend. And the fact that George made top 8 was really cool. But yeah, our top 8 was a little sleeper in some sense, right? It was, 4 Kai'Sas, I believe 2 Yi, 1 Teemo, which was cool that Teemo was able to get through with all the Yi matchups. And then Blev, you'll have to remind me that last spot. It was a Viktor. Okay. And so the difference was in some of our predictions. I had said 1 Set, which Set was nowhere to be seen in the tournament.
Total brought to the tournament of over 500 players.
And then I had 1 Viktor, 4 Yi, 2 Kai'Sa, so just kind of flipped there. I believe Pastry did call out a mystery deck being Chaos, and
no
Teemo
mystery deck.
Teemo is not exactly a mystery deck, but it is a Chaos deck that made it. It didn't win the tournament, but it did make that top 8. I thought that was quite cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there weren't a ton of surprises, but the surprises that were there were, I think, shocking, and that was the 12 sets. Pretty low numbers of Darius. And I think as far as actual surprises, that's really it, though. Those 2 decks we probably thought there'd be a lot more of, and maybe thought there'd be less Teemo, but for me personally, I knew about the Teemo, so that one wasn't a shock to me, but I think maybe community-wide, Teemo's numbers could have been a surprise.
There's also a bunch of side events in it. By the way, if you're the kind of person that's listening to this and thinks like, oh, there's been a big tournament, like, can I get deck lists? Like, yes, you can. First of all, you should go watch Battlefield Breakdown. Obviously, I've literally started. Anytime anyone asks me about Riftbound now, I don't even direct them to this podcast. I feel like I'm betraying my team, but I send them straight to Battlefield Breakdown and then hope that they find the pot from there. In fact, I have a few people like in my like indirect at work indirectly who like Riftbound have started like watching the content and they appreciate it much. So shout out to those people. But like, there's like not only this big event, but like I think at least 2 128 person side events. And there are some spicy lists kind of across all of them as well. I think the thing that stuck out most to me looking through these top 8 lists while we're doing this show, because again, I always come very prepared for this podcast. The Kai'Sa decks with the Reavers always seem a lot better than the ones that don't have it. And I think I called this out many, many episodes ago that I feel like if there's ever going to be a single problematic battlefield, it's going to be this one. I think it's problematic. Let's just put it that way. It seems so disgusting.
It's really
just protecting this Kai'Sa constantly from combat.
It is really insane in the Kai'Sa deck. I mean, especially it's for your red Kai'Sa, right? It's for your Kai'Sa Savior.
Yeah, of course.
You get the bouncer and then center back in and draw another card. And the thing is you're not even struggling with cards in Kai'Sa. It's like the big thing about that deck right now. But when you get even more options, there's even less % chance you're going to lose the game. It's like you start to just find every single piece that you need for every single situation. So yeah, this Kai'Sa deck looks pretty insane. And I mean, I want you guys to continue to have any further points on Guangzhou before we move on to Beijing coming up, where I have notes on what I expect for there. So Blevins, Charmer, anything on Guangzhou?
So I was just going to say 2 things. I didn't get to make my like beforehand big prediction, but before I signed off with the co-stream, I did say I expected Kai'Sa to win. So
let's go.
I'm happy with that. Coming out of it, though, obviously this first big event got lots of eyes on it and lots of potential people trying to metagame for the next big event, etc. I would expect more Darius to show up. I know it didn't win the event, but I think that it mostly was a lot of folks just not really understanding what the deck was capable of. And when you go back and you watch some of the really explosive turns and games that just kind of ran away from opposing players, I think that I would expect more Darius to show up, especially against decks that have more single target removal. Similarly, I think that I would maybe say slightly more Annie showing up as well. Wasn't super represented, but the Annie decks that did show up seemed to be pretty well positioned. And I think as people get more reps and they're, starting to think about that legend a bit more beyond just like, oh, it's a, proving grounds thing. I think that we could see some more representation of Annie as well.
My big prediction for the next event and future events is kind of ties into one of the not necessarily shocking things, but was a bit eye-opening to me about Guangzhou was that Misfortune Aurora was the most successful Aurora deck, and is sort of the go-to for Aurora right now. So I think that we're going to see at least one Misfortune in the top 8 of the next regional, maybe even win. I could see it win. It's from what I'm hearing. I have not tested out the deck a lot myself yet, but the rumors on the streets are that it's got a good Kai'Sa matchup. It does well into Kai'Sa. It does horrifically into Viktor. So it could kind of be a rock, paper, scissors of if Viktor is getting beat out by Kai'Sa and Kai'Sa is overtaking, then Misfortune can come in. And if it's if the power struggle is dynamic is different, then Misfortune gets squashed by random Victors. But I do think Misfortune is going to be doing much better in this next event. I also think we're going to see way more set. I know, Cass, you mentioned you had some insight from some folks in China about. Okay, I'll let you talk about that, but more specifically, the thing that I personally got from a comment on a video, I believe it was Battlefield Breakdown, was that there were actually a set deck did win one of the 128 person side events. So it's not like set didn't exist. It didn't really exist in terms of being registered for the main event, but it's not an unknown quantity. It's not like it went completely, it's not like the players didn't know about it and didn't bring it. They just chose not to. So
that's what I was going to say, Blevins. Set won 120 person side event, and Annie came second. And the Annie deck looks absolute heat. It's so insane. It's triple Vi, triple Ride the Wind, triple stack deck, no Nocturne, like not even trying to set it up, just like churning through spells, all selection, all spell slinger, and then you just like play a Vi, Ride the Wind, and like try and take enough points at the end. It's like a very, very aggressive tempo deck.
Does it run Rasa?
What I can look through. No, it's too expensive. It's all cheap spells. It's like absurd.
No, that's the thing. Rasa is the one that gets cost reducted.
It's too
slow.
But
that's
that's
problem
fair.
with it. The problem with it, Blevins, is that when you're already running Vi, you are kind of counteracting yourself.
Yeah,
whenever you're activating Vi, you're making your Rasa that much more expensive.
You're right.
No,
it's so good.
Vi Ride the Wind is fucked up. I mean, it's just like that's like Vi Ride the Wind. Like there's not another way to put that. Actually,
that's just got to be my favorite combo in the whole game.
Just Vi Ride the Wind. It's like it is just crazy. Yeah. Okay. So Beijing preview. What we want to see. This is again predictive. And when you watch this back, you can see how right or wrong we were. Big thing, I think Blevins' call out of Misfortune is great. Viktor's conversion rate was horrible. Looked like maybe the worst deck out of the popular decks at Guangzhou, so I think it'll get reduced. And so big predator for Misfortune will be lessened, and Kai'Sa will be even more prevalent, and it is a matchup you want to see with Misfortune. I think Set and Darius should have increased numbers, though I'm not sure by how much they will be increased. I think a ton of people should play Hook Darius, but for some reason, players in China still don't love Hook, and they're not putting it into their Darius decks. And if they don't, then I don't think Darius will be that successful. I think it needs to be a Hook deck. Now,
please sell me your 50-cent hooks.
Yes, I mean, yeah. I have heard conflicting statements from my friends in China, and conflicting statements even from the same person, saying that meta is evolving and there's a bunch of other stuff showing up. And then also, I just showed up to a very large local and there were no decks except for Kai'Sa and Yi in the room. So I think it's possible that the meta is going to heavily still be shaped on, okay, Kai'Sa and Yi were the best decks. All right, we'll bring those. Versus people trying to actually adapt to the meta and bring something new. I'm a little concerned we're going to see even more egregious representation numbers of Kai'Sa and Yi on this weekend. I'm talking mid 30% on some of these decks each for those two. But I'm hoping not. I think if someone brings Hook Darius and is very good on Darius, they're going to have a field day. Great matchups across the board. And I think anyone who can target Kai'Sa is going to have a good time. But I feel like we're in a be Kai'Sa or beat Kai'Sa meta for the foreseeable future.
Is the Annie Darius matchup horrible for Annie? I have to imagine it's not good.
For Annie, it should not be ideal. It should be okay, playable, but not ideal.
Okay. Because I think Annie's playable against the other two decks. I think, especially if MF, there's more MF. Chaos is really good against MF or Aurora MF.
Yeah.
It's so free for you to run acceptable losses, and you can pick it up easily from your champ zone with Annie. So I like Annie's positioning in some versions of this metagame, but I don't know if the event's soon that it will evolve quickly enough to get to that point. Apart from that, things I want to have happen, I want a calm deck that isn't Yi to have a good finish. Whether it's Ari, Yas, or Leona, I want the swordsman out of there. I'm sick of him. I want any other green deck to do something interesting. I'm sick of my favorite domain being represented by this fucking guy.
Pastry, I gotta send you the Ari deck I've been testing recently, because I started looking into it because I was like, well, can Ari even ever beat Kai'Sa? And so I started building more around the very good blue cards that are like the blue late game, and building some like easy, good green counters that Yi uses and playing them in Ari. And the deck was performing pretty well into quite a few matchups. So I'm optimistic for Ari's future, but it's maybe not there yet. But I agree with you. Seeing a calm deck that's not Yi, seeing a deck that's not Yi do well anytime is actually pretty exciting. I think the Annie call out is great. I think Annie is also a deck that is reasonably well positioned. She does have generally some Kai'Sa issues, but it's not every single time. Like sometimes you're just too fast as Annie and they don't have the right removal, and it works and you can get there. So I'm optimistic for Annie. I think Darius is the one that is my pick. If someone really good at the game brings Hook Darius, I think they are going to do exceptionally well.
Pastry was asking, does Annie have game into Darius? And the immediate answer was no, because I actually think, depending on build, so obviously that's the caveat with all these, I think that Annie might have a better matchup into Darius than she does Kai'Sa.
Oh, I think that's true.
If you've, taken into account sideboard options and you've got things like Firestorm, Tibbers, especially if you're on the red Annie where your TF is always going to pull red card, for example, I think that you have a far better ability to deal with the token side of Darius, and then you just have to worry about the big beaters. I think that you're fine on Annie into Darius. I just also don't think you have to worry about it, because even though I expect Darius's representation to potentially go up, I don't think it'll be by a large margin. I think that's incorrect. I agree with Cass. I think Hook Darius is very well positioned right now. I think that the deck has a lot of explosive potential. I also just think that it's a little bit harder to pilot than the other decks right now, and so that will factor into it. I think more than anything, I hate to say this, I would not be surprised if we do see 30% of the field be Kai'Sa and 30% of the field be Yi, and then the rest is going to be, other options. I don't think that should be a correct representation of the meta, because I will go on record and say I think Hook Darius is a better deck than that. I think Teemo is a better deck than that. Even though Teemo had a low popularity rate, representation and the higher parts of the tournament were pretty good, right? I mean, Teemo made it all the way to top 8. So I would say that I think that you will have definitely folks that will pile on, especially with Kai'Sa. I think Kai'Sa will be the most represented deck because it was already popular and it just won, right? And it was half the top 8. So I don't expect that to do anything but go up in representation. But I do feel like the meta is not as binary as it looks right now by a long shot.
No, and I think that even just being able to have this discussion, and I think we all have a slightly different view on what the top 8 or day 2 might be, and that's an exciting thing for any card game in my mind. Like, it's not like, well, we're gonna see. We just hope that it's not 8 out of 8 VV decks in this top 8. That's really
okay. I mean, Blevins, I think we are in that world though. Like, I think there is a hope that it's like not 8 out of 8 Kai'Sa. I think Kai'Sa is correctly identified as one of the best decks in the game, and I just think that the other decks that could be in that upper echelon are not being represented yet, because I don't think Yi actually is in that top level. I think he's one step down. I think he's a great deck, and there's a good. I've compared him to Jund because everyone tells me in MTG Jund is your 50% matchups across the board type of deck, and that's what I see Yi being. Is it just has very stable matchups, so I think it's a great fine tournament bring. But Kai'Sa is that actual top deck, and there's other decks that are at that level and they're not being played yet.
It is interesting to me that Zoomers think that Jund means 50% win rate across the board. That's what people tell me. Getting older and older by the day.
Right. I was also just going to say one of the interesting things about Kai'Sa being, the best deck is I also do think it's a bit of a meta thing, and it might just be the result of this being, set 1 of a card game. But the decks that I think are really good into Kai'Sa just have worse matchups into the rest of the field, right? So when you're playing the numbers in terms of like polarization, for example, I know we were talking about Misfortune Aurora, but I think Volibear Aurora has a great matchup into Kai'Sa. It's got a really bad matchup into a lot of other decks. So, do you want to take that gamble? The answer is probably no. But if we continue to see Kai'Sa do Kai'Sa things, and if we have an event or two where it is 8 Kai'Sas or 6 Kai'Sas or whatever in the top 8, then I could see a Volibear turn around and spike an event.
And Falling Star eats a ban, and then and then it changes everything. No, I doubt we'll get bans anytime soon. I don't want them. I do not want them anytime soon.
Definitely do not want those, but very exciting weekend coming up here again. Make sure that you're tuning in to the live English rebroadcast we'll be doing right here on the channel, which of course has already happened if you're listening to this. But the next one will also be on
Go watch
it. But go watch it anyway. Go watch how correct we all were somehow. But that is going to lead us into our favorite segment of the show. Mm-hmm. It is the mailbag. We kind of jumped ahead with Uncanny Girl getting a stealthy mailbag question into an earlier section, but we still got some other ones. This first one is from Mage Armor, who said, "While I'm here, anyone want to tell me what Treasure Trove does? I can't seem to find the text online." Cass, any thoughts on that?
I have. Somebody else is gonna have to take that one. I think. I haven't got any clue what Treasure Trove does. No, I will not be taking any further questions about Treasure Trove. You'll have to talk to my publicist, Blevins, my imaginary publicist.
Yep, that's me. Cass won't be taking further questions, but will sign your Treasure Troves at live events. So make sure that you bring them, especially your foil ones. That bit of
read it. Pulled it up.
If you're in the comment section, instead of Treasure Trove, this is what I want. I want you to tell us whether you are on Mo's team or Kuvi's team for their little argument. Sound off who the winner was.
Oh my god.
See, these are the inside jokes that you can be a part of if you watch the live English rebroadcast. Yeah, I have nothing further on this. It was just a meme question we wanted in there. Good bit. I'm sure it definitely won't come up ever again. Next up, this is a little bit of a conceptual one that I thought was a bit interesting here. This one's from GW Bricks. Says, I have a question. Do you think Seraphine will be in set 3 and will she resemble her LOR form? We can answer that one specifically, but I guess also opening up the question to what champion do you want to see in set 3? And also, how do you think that Riftbound is going to tackle lore champions that we had? Like, how close are they going to stick to them? Do they owe that to anyone to even do that?
They definitely don't owe anyone. But the interesting thing is, at one point, it would have made a lot of sense because a lot of assets for Origins specifically are borrowed from Legends of Runeterra. But as they make more cards, they have more time to commission new art. And then, like, slowly but surely, I think the plan is for the game eventually to be like 100% original art or whatever. So certainly, depending on where they're up to in the pipeline, you could see Seraphine, even her art from lore, in a set like set 3. I think based on the theme we know very loosely from set 2, it's probably not in there. But she certainly could be. In general, I don't think certainly there's no like impetus on making the champions similar because LOL functions completely differently as a game. And also, like, why would you shoehorn something into your game that like doesn't fit in the new system? But I will say, I think one of Legends of Runeterra's best traits was that it was incredibly good, like design. Like, it evoked champions really well in the game, and I think Riftbound does a lot of the same thing. So it'll be a different system, but the feel will probably be there. And I am excited for a Spellslinger legend or champion that isn't Kai'Sa, because she's kind of just a mana rock with all the good spells, not all that exciting. I guess her 6-mana version, her blue version, is a little bit more spellslingy, but I would love to be like almost like a Lux Plus, right? Who's, I guess, our current Spellslinger legend. But it'd be cool to see a new take on what that looks like, especially because I think with the way the game operates right now, you can only really win if you hold stuff which involves you playing units, right? I don't know if you necessarily want a deck that can win without scoring points on battlefields, but how to push that idea in this game is interesting to me because that is kind of where Spellslinger and combo would go, right, in your traditional card games. So how that manifests in a game like Riftbound is really interesting.
I'll jump in. So I have no idea, obviously, whether or not she'll be in set 3. I think that when folks are thinking about whether or not the Riftbound legends will match stuff from Legends of Runeterra, the best answer I can give is probably not, just because they're completely different games. So ultimately, I think Pastry hit the nail on the head. I think the designers are going to do a great job of making the cards in Riftbound feel like the League counterpart champions, but they will probably do so within the mechanics of Riftbound, and those are just fundamentally different from what we had in Legends of Runeterra. So I do think we'll get a Seraphine at some point. I think that she'll be calm, kind of similar to the way that Sona is, but I would also expect her to have a different combination. So I think that when you look at the two, they're so similar just in terms of design that you'll want them to not be like copies of each other in the card game as well. So if we get a Sona that is, mind and calm, then she might be, order and calm on the Seraphine side or vice versa. I think there will be overlap, but I don't think that they want them to be the same. Beyond that, again, who knows what the design will be like. I wouldn't mind if it's something that's, spell slingy, maybe something that also works with Karma in that direction. We've kind of already seen some teases of what a future Karma design will look like, especially with the recycle mechanic. And then I'll just throw in, I know that somebody was asking about, what are some legends that you would want in a future set. I really want a Mind Chaos Malzahar, just because I really like Malzahar, and then I also love the character Vi, and so I think Vi will probably end up being, she'll be Angie for sure, but it's just a question of whether they want her to feel too similar to Darius or not. I would actually like to see her be Body, right? Just Angie and
I think
paired
that's
with
most
the buffs,
likely, yeah.
because she's a buff mommy who wants to get buffed and then do things with the buffs. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I don't need to keep echoing. So, because I agree just with both of you guys. I do think like to go completely blunt on it. No, I don't think Seraphine will create random spells. I think I can be safely say that. And then as far as duplicating spells on different targets, probably also no, but I could see a card do that. I just don't know that it'll be Seraphine. I also think they could go the Bard direction, right? Not Bard the champion, but Bard the class of fantasy character, and do more like Anthem type effects from Seraphine. That could be really neat. It's like you cast this type of spell and you get an Anthem for the turn of like +1 mites on things. I don't know. There's just like interesting ways you can go about Seraphine in a flavor perspective that are different than what they did already. Instead of just taking her passive of duplicating spells like they did for lore, you could take a different part of her kit and create something interesting. And I think that, as Pastry said, the devs have done a really great job in Legends of Runeterra in particular about flavor. But I think so far, maybe a little bit with Legends. It's not like Legends are not flavorful, but more champion cards themselves have been extremely flavorful in Riftbound already. So I expect it to just kind of like continue in that vein. When it comes to just legends that I want to see or champions that I want to see in the game, Swain, Azir, those are my champs. I really want to see those two. So.
All my champs are already in the game. Very lucky. I guess I want to see a Heimer legend, but apart from that, Yas is in the game already, so we're good. I want to see what Yone does. Hopefully it's broken, because Yasuo was not, and one of them has to be busted. That is the way.
Yeah.
I definitely want Olaf and Gragas. Those are my.
Yone's the brothers. It's one to cut and one to sleeve, right? Because one's bad and the other's good.
Yeah, exactly.
I weirdly have 3 different things to talk about with this. One, Seraphine will not be in set 3. She's going to be in set 5. Whoops!
Thanks.
I wasn't supposed to say.
Thanks, Lev. Yeah.
Cut that part. For the record, I have no idea, and if she is in set 5, it's a complete coincidence. And oh god, Dave's climbing in through the window. Second thing is, Cass, you sort of touched on this. We can explore different parts of the champion's kit, and also just explore different ways to express the champion. Draven is a good example to me, where it's like the Draven lore champion was very much like, you've got the spinning axes, and he creates the axes and does and buffs himself and levels up. But we have the Riftbound Draven that gets gigantic with fame and the different endpoints. So like it's expressing a different part of the champion in a different way, and we could see that happen with different domains that they're in. If we see now the champion legends are 2 domains, so can kind of go in either direction. I will also point this other thing out that I realized during the Battlefield breakdown recording with our producer. Hextech Ray is an interesting card. And this relates because it is a Viktor ability in League of Legends, and it is an Angie card.
True.
Mm-hmm. Viktor is not Angie. When's Red Viktor? It implies we could see not only just what we've got, we can see really the possibilities are literally endless. So we will be getting all domains of Lux before we get any of the champions that you actually want in the game. That is what I'm saying.
Yeah, before we get Rek'Sai.
Absolutely confirmed. And also confirmed that we are done with the show for today. Friends, thank you so much for that. If you've been having fun with the show, I assume that you are, because you stuck around this long. If you haven't, you may be, I don't know, strapped into a chair somewhere with clockwork orange eyes, forcing you to watch The Winning Point. And for that, sorry about it. If you are being Clockwork Orange in a basement somewhere, make sure that you tell your captor to like, comment, and subscribe to the Turtle Sideways YouTube channel, because it doesn't matter what your fate is. The fate of the channel is that we want you to like, comment, and subscribe so that you can be on the Winning Point mailbag. I have rambled enough. For Charmer, for Pastry, for Cass, I've been Blevins, and we'll see you next week.